Good evening and welcome to another episode of Oxnard Live. I'm your host, Daniel Chavez Jr. I do apologize for the delay. We were having a little bit issues with trying to set it up on Facebook Live. So we are connected and hopefully um, we're doing well. Otherwise, we will post the video as soon as we are done because it is being recorded. So, welcome to another episode. I got my Susan G. Coleman tie on because it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I just want to do a quick plug. And this is in no way endorsement of it or they are endorsing me in any way. That the Oxnard Police Department and Port Hueneme Police Department are selling their pink patches this year. Once again, all proceeds go towards the foundation for research to try to combat this horrible disease of breast cancer. Again, breast cancer is the month of October, so try to always wear pink for the month of October. Tonight, we got a very special guest, and our guest is definitely no stranger to hard work or the community that she is trying to represent. From early days as being a former uh, farm worker, picking strawberries in local fields, to a mother of four and a grandmother of three, which is amazing, and ultimately ending as a chief management officer for a local organization that serves individuals with severe needs. She also chairs the Southwind Neighborhood Council and is one of the most amazing person that is always volunteering and bringing much awareness to her district, District 6. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Carolina Gallardo-Magana.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Daniel, for inviting me to this live event. Thank you. And I really was looking forward to seeing you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolina, for joining us. And I hope I didn't butcher your last name too much. I did spend all day practicing and hoping that I would say your last name correctly. Did I do well or still
You
need
did.
practice?
Yes. No, you did it good. You did it good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I know how some people, and I'm not saying you, but there are some people out there that get a little, say my name right. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry. But I
No,
just
no
wanted to make
worries.
sure.
No worries. You did it good.
Great. So, like I said, your bio, you're no stranger to hard work. You know, you used to be a farm worker picking strawberries and other produce that so many take for granted, but it really does help keep our economy moving. And you continue your hard work by having events in the South Oxnard district. Uh, so, what motivated you to run? Because it sounds like you already have a full plate. You have four children, three grandchildren. You're a chief management officer for an organization that serves severe needs of individuals. Where do you find the time?
I don't know. Well, not mentioning that I also own two businesses in District 6, and those are residential care facilities for people with intellectual disabilities. And this is my second time running, and I ran in 2018. And in 2018, it was the very first time that the city had district elections. So in 2018, we got somebody elected to represent District 6, which is South Oxnard. And I didn't think to be running again. So I thought, well, we got somebody to represent the hardworking families in South Oxnard, which is great. But unfortunately, we didn't get the representation that South Oxnard residents need. Um, so that's why I thought, I have to run again. I want to, I feel at this point, I am the voice of my community, but I want to be the vote for the betterment of South Oxnard. I want to be that person who propose and votes for betterment, for programs for our South Oxnard residents. And I think by being that I can propose, I can support anything that will enhance the quality of life of the residents. So that's why I decided to run, because I don't see a real representation. And it's unfortunate that, we have somebody to represent us, but we don't see that person, that engagement with the community. Because I truly believe if I want to advocate for you, I should get to know you. I should get to know what you need. I should get to know what you want. That is a real representation. And we don't have that yet. But once I get elected, I will be that real representation for South Oxnard, for the hardworking families in South Oxnard.
And I like that you said that you actually have to go out there and meet the people that you want to represent. That's key. So
Yeah.
let me ask you, because you put on these events, and it's just most recently that the events became very public, because now there are more local organizations participating in these events. You're seeing more elected officials starting to step up and participate in these events. But you've done food drives and other events in South Oxnard way before all
Yes.
of this, right? So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I started the food pantry in 2017. This was way before campaign in 2018. This was way before the pandemic that we're going through right now, because I truly believe our community needs those services. Like you mentioned before, and I was a farm worker, and sometimes that check is not enough. Some people live from paycheck to paycheck. Believe me, farm workers don't live paycheck to paycheck. They need something in the middle to make it through it. And because I experienced that when I was a farm worker, there was a time where I didn't have anything to eat, nothing but a can of sardines, not anything, nothing on my table. So I just opened a can of sardines. Thankfully, I had food for my babies. I had my two babies receiving week. So I was not worried about them. But for us, my husband and I, we didn't have anything to eat. So I opened a can of sardines, nothing else. So, and I said to my husband, if you want to eat, there it is. Otherwise, you have to starve. So I fully understand the need of the people. So, and that's why, I really identify myself with the population that I want to serve. And like I said it before, when I came to this country, I didn't speak any English. I had to learn it, but because I want to succeed. So that has always been in my heart. So when I came, my pockets were empty, full of dreams, but empty. And I was actually planning to just be here for 2 years because I had a business in Mexico. And so I wanted to improve that business by making money here and go and make my business better over there. But I guess 2 years is still not here yet, because after 30 years, I'm still here. And I am not planning, I guess, to go back. I'm planning to stay here. I have my roots here. I have my kids here, my grandkids here. So this is my country too.
And I'm, you mentioned your family, and it wasn't until either at the end of last year or the beginning of this year that I actually found out that I actually went to school with one of your sons.
That's right.
And I thought that was pretty amazing. I was like, wow, what a small world Oxnard is.
That is true. Very small world. Yes, my son is now almost 30 years old next month.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was an adventure with him. He was born being preemie. He was born only with 3 pounds of weight. Oh, and wow. Back then I didn't drive. I struggled really bad with his health. He developed asthma. I had to catch the bus because I didn't drive. So that's why I understand the people of South Oxnard, what they go through. I had to catch the bus, take him to BCMC, crying in the bus because I thought we will not make it. But thanks God, nothing else happened. So I really struggle. And then some people think like it's easy for her because she has this, she has that. That's not easy. Life is not easy. And life sometimes could not be enjoyable, but if you make it enjoyable, it will be. So right now, like I said, when I came to this country, I was like empty pockets, empty pockets. Right now, thanks God, I own my own businesses. And so I also own some properties in South Oxnard District 6. So to me, I think this is my home. This is my country. This is what is giving me so much. My heart, of course, is in two places. Mexico is the place where I was created, but USA is the place where I was developed.
There
So,
you go. So I'm glad that you said develop, because that actually is a great segue to my next question is I grew up in South Oxnard, and I still live in South Oxnard. But the way that the districts were broken up, it made it seem that I wasn't part of South Oxnard. But I've always lived in South Oxnard. Now, when I first got involved with our city, I advocated strongly about revitalizing South Oxnard. If you're elected to the city council, what steps are you going to take to try to revitalize South Oxnard?
we have to bring, I think we have to bring new businesses, but, I have been walking in the Saviors Corridor, the small businesses, from 5 points, like for example, where Toppers, there is a meat market, Castillo's meat market. There are other small businesses like hair salons. There is another small corridor on Carl Gisler and Winimi Road. I've been talking to them and they're struggling really bad. They have told me that just to get the city business license, it costs them about $5,000 a year. And it's not that all that they need. They need a lot of things. They need other licenses. They need to pay their insurances. So I think they really thrive. So why not to help first? How we can improve their business or how we can help them to not to struggle that much. And they are established, so let's make them a better business. I don't know, in many ways. I was out talking to some of them, maybe creating a small business association, so I think that will really help, and it will bring economic development to South Oxnard. And so that's what I will do. My plan will be to create a small business association.
I like that idea, and actually, it's such a great idea. I had that exact same idea a couple of years ago of creating something similar to what Downtown Oxnard has. Downtown Oxnard has the P-bid for the businesses. So the businesses all pay into something. They get the advertisement, they get the additional services on top of the services that the city already provides. So my goal was, well, why can't South Oxnard have that? So see, it's such a great idea. More and more people keep having it. So maybe I was on the right path a couple of years ago.
No, yes, you are. So let's work on it.
There you go. So I appreciate that. What are your three priorities? And again, there could be not could be. There are 100 different issues that are facing our city. So this is going to take a lot of work to just narrow it down to just three. What are three that you believe are your top priorities going into this office?
My top priorities will be, Ormond Beach and Halaco Superfund site is right behind my backyard. I would like for those sites to be cleaned up. I would like not to have that right there for people to be breathing on. I would love to have the homeless population out of Halaco plant because they don't know how toxic it is, or they know, but they don't have any other place where to go. So I would like to relocate those people to a safe place where they can have a place where to sleep, where to have a hot meal. And then like the Ormond Beach, we have the gem of South Oxnard, of Oxnard right there. So why not to clean it up? Why not to advertise it as a touristic place that could bring revenues to the city? That's one of my priorities. Another one is the infrastructure. Look at the streets, look at the alleys. They're really, really bad. Matter of fact, I got a flat tire in one of the alleys just by driving by it. So as small as it seems to be, it's a big issue. The other priority is that I am working on it already is the beautification of the Shumas Creek, better known as the J Street Canal, and that is in collaboration with the county. So that will be, that will be another one of my priorities. But definitely there are many, many public safety, social equity, social justice, not mentioned in the budget of the city. So there are a lot of priorities, but just referring to the South Oxnard area, those ones will be the one that I will be focusing on. And of
So
course, in collaboration with others. No, I can't do it by myself. It has to be in collaboration.
correct. So let me ask you, because you mentioned Ormond Beach, and yes, that is one that needs a lot of attention. And the Helico site, which a couple of years ago was cleared out of the homeless because there was like over, I believe it was over 400 homeless that were created makeshift housing and tents and RVs. They created their own little mini city right there at the Helico site. Um, what would be your plan for the homeless? I know you said you want to get them out of that area, get them to a safer location, give them that warm meal, but how does that look? And then the other layer on top of that is, where does the funding come for that?
Yeah, I don't know. The city is working on a shelter for 130 beds. I think once that is established, because it's not enough beds for the amount of homeless people we have in the city. So we have to look for ways to expand it somewhere else. I don't know, but looking for grants from the state, from the federal government. So looking for those grants, we can make it possible, but we have to become strong and we have to work together with many other organizations, especially, because we can make it possible. I think there is a saying in Spanish like, la unión hace la fuerza, and I truly believe in that. So that will be my plan for the homeless people.
Now, your priorities are great, infrastructure wise, which now I'm going to ask you um, about one of the measures, and actually two of the measures. So, Measure E, which is a 1.5% sales tax increase, so that keeps those revenue here within the city to go towards services. Cities across the nation have been destroyed by this COVID-19 pandemic.
Mhm.
Where do you stand on Measure E? Or what are your feelings about Measure E?
I'm actually, I'm sorry. I'm not crying. I'm just cleaning my eye.
I already made you cry? No.
Crying, not crying. No. No. On Measure E, there is a lot of information to be absorbed. I don't know if the residents are really understanding all of the information that is out there. I just hope that the decision they make is the right decision when that time comes. And so I guess I hope we just make the right decision when voting on Measure E. I am not a fan of raising taxes, but again, we have to make the right choice, the right decision when voting.
Now, there's another measure on the ballot, Measure N, which is to ultimately sunset Measure O unless it meets specific standards, and that's for road repairs. Now, Measure O recently paid for um, another year of the fire station in South Oxnard, and I believe that's in your district, right? Or
No, it's District 5.
District 5. So, but it is in South Oxnard.
Yes.
Um, where do you stand on Measure N? That again, if it does not meet certain standards, then Measure O, which is a general tax that was approved by voters a few years ago, that is due to sunset, I believe it's by 2029. I have to look back on that. But where do you stand on that? Because again, there were some services that were due to be cut completely because there just was not enough revenue. And before our current city manager, two interim city managers and the previous city manager all said the same thing, that if we do not take certain steps, we are going to have to make cuts over the next 5 to 7 years. Now, Measure O saved a lot of services this last budget. Where do you stand on Measure O? And well, sorry, where do you stand on Measure N that ties in with Measure O?
Well, it's a tough decision too, but let me tell you about fire station number 2. Last year, when the city budget was proposed, they were planning to remove fire engine 62 from that station. And let me briefly tell you a story about fire station number 2. That was built in the 60s in La Colonia. In the 60s, the South Oxnard was developed. So this was a new area of Oxnard. So what happened is that they brought the fire engine 62 to this station and they took it away from Colonia residents. Now they were trying to take it away from here because apparently we didn't need it. So we got together and we went around talking to the citizens and gathering signatures. We got over hundreds of signatures that we submitted to the city for us to be able to keep fire engine 62. Because I believe a fire station without a fire engine is like a pharmacy without medicine, So luckily we got to keep fire engine 62. Hopefully forever, or for how long, I don't know. In regards to the measure, again, I don't know if the people is understanding all of the information. And I technically would say the same thing as Measure E. I just hope to make the right decision. We have to be more or better informed about those measures and how they interact one with another. So I will just say again, we just hope to make the right decision.
So do you agree with Measure N that it can ultimately overturn Measure O, which was approved by voters years ago?
I agree to it. I just say that I have to look more into all the information that is being out there.
Okay. So you, over the past few years, you made mention that in 2017, you started doing the food share banks. And that started in the South Winds neighborhood. There are continued efforts in South Winds neighborhood. Now it's on a larger scale. Like I mentioned, that there are now local organizations participating, such as the port and elected officials. But how do you build more community involvement throughout your district?
I would say the community involvement throughout my district. Can you repeat that question?
Yeah, so it's just ultimately, how do you build that community involvement?
Got it.
Got it. The lack of a better words.
Yes, just tell me simple. Anyways, I think you have to keep your doors open for a better engagement with the community, definitely. And then we just have to be open to listen to the residents and to get to know what they need, what they want. And in regards to the food pantry, I am very happy that others are stepping up to provide food to the people who need it. Some people think that, he or she has a job, or he or she is coming in a Mercedes-Benz to get food. He or she doesn't need it. Why are you giving it to them? Yes, they may have a Mercedes-Benz, but you don't know if that person just lost his or her job. You don't know that person's needs just for their appearance. If that person is there wasting, I don't know if I call it wasting, but using 2 hours of her time, that means the person has the need for the services that are being provided. So, I think we have to keep the doors open for engagement with the community.
And I think that you mentioned that some people may um, give the appearance that they are well off, but the
Mhm.
reality is that they may not be. And I believe this pandemic really clearly showed that appearances are very deceiving. We have our essential workers, and I'm one of those essential workers. I work for LA Metro. That we are all working, but many of us are actually struggling. Hours get cut back. Stores are not staying open as long or opening as early. And even
Mhm.
some businesses have just decided to close up shop completely, permanently close. So, you know, we can see like, oh, well, they're okay because they're still working. They got this nice car or whatever. But it again, this pandemic only proved that appearances could be very deceiving.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
So you, being a resident in South Oxnard, one of the biggest things over the years has always been the Orman power plant that's in that area, and it is shut down. But an agreement was reached that they can operate a little bit for an exchange of services from the city.
Mhm.
What steps are you going to take to try to ensure that your community has safe air, safe water, and that it is environmentally friendly, um, that could be duplicated to all the districts?
I am happy that I do see a lot of people being more aware of environmental issues. And so for me, that is also a priority for the power plant to be removed and for the area to be clean and for the residents to have access to the beach through that area. And we have to keep the people informed, talking to them constantly and making them aware of the danger of the site, because not many people are aware of those toxic sites. And so we have to keep the people, the residents well informed and constant communication. Maybe even, well, right now we cannot do meetings, like live meetings, but we can post things in medias. We can post things, throughout the area, neighborhoods. So keeping people well informed, that's the way to educate them, I think.
Now, have you been taking there are some steps that other neighborhood councils are taking, and that's using the Zoom. Have your neighborhood looked into doing that as well as a form of communication?
Yes, we just had a town hall last month. And
Okay.
we're planning another one to inform the people of the happenings surrounding the neighborhood and the entire city as well. Yes.
Now, are you in communication with the other neighborhood chairs? Or let me back up. I should ask, out of all the neighborhoods in your district, how many of them have active neighborhood councils?
At least two. They are not active.
Okay.
Yes, and I believe it's 7 neighborhoods, but two of them are not active.
Okay, that's a pretty good turnout.
Yes.
Now, have you been, I guess ultimately before this whole pandemic took place, and I know you're very involved with the South Oxnard, have you reached out to those neighborhood councils or attended those neighborhood councils to listen to their concerns, and see where they see a need for representation on the council?
Yes, I have at least talked to three of them, and then but they are not having meetings, live meetings right now, and so it's hard to meet right now with any neighborhood, even in South Winds, unless it's a Facebook Live or the town hall meeting that we had last month.
Now,
Yeah.
you made mention in the beginning that you don't feel, and including the rest of the district, does not feel that they're being fully represented. What would you do different from what the current council member is doing? Uh, you know, to reassure the residents of the district that they are fully being represented on the council?
Okay, I will say this, and I hope it is not taken away from me, but my plan, once I get on the chair, I will be in touch with all the chairs of that neighborhood in District 6. And I will ask them maybe to do a survey and see what changes they want to see in the neighborhood. And let's work on them. Some of them may be like easy to work on, some of them may not be. But if we don't work on them, or if we don't know what the people need, what change they want to see, nothing will happen. So, and I will always be available, like my phone will always be available to any resident, well, as long as they don't call me at midnight.
That's always the ideal thing, is not to get the call at midnight or at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, but like right now as the neighborhood chair, my phone is available. Like the residents, they call me for even for many issues. Sometimes it's for domestic violence. They don't know where to get counseling. Sometimes because they having issues with their teenager kids, they don't know what to do. Sometimes could be as simple as just the neighbor is staring at me. What should I do? So I sometimes I can help, sometimes I can't, but I know how to redirect them to other agencies where they can get the help.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Now, I know you gave your 3 priorities, but what do you see as Oxnard's biggest challenge moving forward?
The biggest challenge is the city's budget. As you know, the city has been struggling. Some are saying because past mismanagement. So I think we need more clear accountability. We need to make the city more accountable for mismanagement, regardless who that is. But I think that's the biggest challenge in the city, the budget.
Now, if you're elected to the city council, what steps would you do to ensure? Because I believe that mismanagement isn't only on the staff, it isn't only on the city council, but it lies at the feet of the residents of the city of Oxnard. Because we always seem to get really interested when it's election time. But outside of elections, we do not hold our elected officials accountable. And the ones that do hold them accountable or self-proclaimed watchdogs, um, they're not doing it in a way that people take them seriously. So if you're elected to the city council, what steps are you going to ensure that, and I know you can't give a definite answer because it's hard to predict the future, but what would you plan to ensure that accountability is always up front when it comes to the city's budget?
Well, I would say that I think we need to have, I don't know, an outside auditor or something to check out the city budget and how the money is dispersed. I don't have too many details how that works being in the city. But I mean, being a city official, since I haven't been there, but I would say audits to the city and displaying all the financial information. I don't know if they can do that to all residents, but as much as possible, keep the people informed and working with all the city councils, and then just making sure that everything is clear as water.
Now, you know me for a couple of years, and you knew that I was a former candidate for city council. Um, One of the things that I was really going to push as a council member was having monthly town halls with the residents, talking to them about what's going on within the district, as well as what's going on in the city, just to try to build that information bridge so that they're always informed of what's going on, whether they watch it live during that time or they watch it later on, but again, be available for questions. Would you commit to doing something like that? I know you say you already communicate with, your neighborhood, but would you do that for your whole district, that once a month or once every 2 months have some type of meeting that informs the residents of what's going on within the district, such as crime stats, development, and dealings with the city as far as the budget goes?
Definitely, a good representation to have if you're open to to meet with the residents. And yes, that is in my plan. Like I said, being in touch at the first or the second day of getting on the chair, reach out to all the chairs and meet with them, get to know them, get to know their needs. And definitely having it on the schedule, meeting every month if the chairs agree to it, because I have to go by their agenda as well. So if they agree to meet every month, even briefly, definitely I will be always open. And my phone number will be always advertised or publicly, for people to reach out to me. But yes, I do agree on meeting with the residents as much as needed. And I think that's real representation because, you will get to know the residents, you will get to know their needs, so you will represent them better.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've been at this for roughly 45 minutes.
Oh.
We'll go ahead and move to your closing statement.
Okay, thank you.
And mind you, there's no time limit, so your closing statement could be 5 minutes or as long as you need, but this is your opportunity to speak to the residents and our viewers as well.
Thank you, Daniel. Okay, well, don't forget to vote on November 3rd. And also we have an in-person voting place at Winimi High School, which was not supposed to be there, but I organized and I got the people together to email the county for us to have a in-person voting place in South Oxnard, and we got it. We got it at Winimi High School. We also have another one at Oxnard College. You can either go to vote in person or to drop off your ballot. And then don't forget that those voting places will be open October 31st until November 3rd. Don't forget to vote for Carolina Gallardo-Magana, a real representation for South Oxnard. For more information, check my page, carolinaforoxnard.com, or my Facebook page, Carolina Gallardo-Magana for Council 2020. Or call me, 805-612-4925. Don't call me at midnight. Call me anytime, but not midnight. Thank you. And it was a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Carolina Gallardo-Magana, who is a candidate for District 6, which represents 1/2 of South Oxnard residents. And again, she made mention that there is an additional in-person voting station at Winimi High School. So I will be posting the full list of all the Oxnard locations. As a reminder to our viewers that the last day to register to vote is October 19th online or by mail with a postmark date of October 19th. And as Carolina mentioned, that the voting polls in person will be available 4 days, October 31st until November 3rd. I will also post those times because times will vary based off of the locations. And of course, on election day, November 3rd, polls close at 8 p.m., but open at 7 a.m. So, Carolina, yes, go ahead.
I want to say something in Spanish for the Spanish population. Gracias por mirarnos. No se les olvide votar noviembre 3. Yo soy Carolina Gallardo-Magana y quiero ser tu representante para el Distrito 6 en el sur de Oxnard. Yo soy una persona que vino de México con las manos vacías, pero llenas de sueño, y nunca pensé estar pidiendo representar a los vecinos del sur de Oxnard. En noviembre 3, yo soy tu persona para elegir, Carolina Gallardo-Magana, para City Council 2020. Gracias.
Thank you, Carolina. And
Daniel.
you know that's one thing that I have to explore is being able to maybe do a show in Spanish. My Spanish is not very good, so it will be more of a Spanglish show. But we need to be able to reach more out to our population that only speaks Spanish. So thank you for reminding me of that. I did take a note of that. That is something that I have to look into, because it has always been my goal to be really providing the information to the public. And if I can't reach everybody, then I'm not doing my job to really try to provide information. So
Okay, well, if you need help for the Spanish show, I'm here.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is Carolina Gallardo-Magana, who is a candidate for District 6. So please visit her website or her Facebook page and be sure to vote on November 3rd. Again, last day to register to vote is October 19th online or postmarked mail October 19th. Sorry, October 19th is the last day to register to vote.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you so much. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, Carolina.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Oxnard Live. Please be sure to join us tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be having a special edition of Oxnard Live as we have Oxnard City Manager Alex Nguyen with us, speaking about his experience with the city of Oxnard, as well as the 5 measures on Oxnard's ballot. I would also like to make a mention that all the candidates were reached out to in order to participate in these one-on-one conversations and to get their positions on the measures as well as the issues that face our cities. Richard Linares, Efren Jimenez, Saul Medina, Vianney Lopez are all candidates that have not responded to the emails that were sent out to them. Carla Ramirez, who is a candidate in District 6 as well, had reached out to us, but unfortunately, due to scheduling conflicts, is unable to participate. And Oxnard City Treasurer Phil Molina had reached out to us, but then went silent on his emails. But if you're part of his email list, you get about 5 to 10 a day. So those candidates have not been in contact with us. So again, this show is an opportunity to be able to have you speak to the residents of Oxnard, engage in a conversation with me so that we find out and make the most informed decision possible. Those candidates that I listed are candidates that either only one of them had a scheduling conflict, the others, silence. So this is Oxnard Live, all live and 100% real. Enjoy the rest of your evening and be sure to join us tomorrow as we have a conversation with Oxnard City Manager Alex Nguyen at 6 p.m. for a special edition of Oxnard Live. So be sure to submit your questions if you have any to info@danielchavezjr.com. That's info@danielchavezjr.com, or you can comment on the posting that's advertising the city manager's show tomorrow. Thank you and have a good evening.